Hello, everyone. Welcome to How to Leverage API-Driven Bare Metal in a Public Cloud World. My name is William Bell, Executive Vice President of Products at phoenixNAP, and I'm really excited to bring some industry experts to the table today to talk about the future of infrastructure as code, the future of infrastructure as a service. And we're really happy at phoenixNAP to have Jim Chamming's with us today, a cloud solution architect at Intel. He's going to give us some kind of cutting edge Intel ideas on the whole concept of infrastructure as a service and bare metal, specifically as it pertains to the public cloud and occupying infrastructure as a service environments. So I have an esteemed panel with me today. Ian McClarity, President of phoenixNAP. As I mentioned, Jim Chammings, Cloud Solution Architect at Intel. Martin Volomsky, Director of Products at phoenixNAP. And Dr. Xiao Lim, VP of Architecture and Platform at phoenixNAP. Welcome, everybody. I hope that we have a really great conversation. I know the audience is excited to kind of hear about not only where the industry is going, but some of the work that phoenixNAP is doing in this area. And so I'm going to kick right into it. All right. I do want to remind everyone that if you stick around to the end, we are giving away a $100 Amazon gift card. Who doesn't want $100? So I think it's worthwhile. I'm sure the content will be immersive. I feel like the panel is going to have a lot of great neutral things to say. You know, this is a phoenixNAP run webinar, but one of our goals here at phoenixNAP is to keep the content fresh, to be very educational. And I hope that everyone takes something away from this, whether it's working with PNAP or not. Take something away from this, apply it to your own environments and infrastructure, and hopefully have a really fruitful session. So I wanted to take just a minute to talk about IT automation, specifically infrastructure automation. We're going to talk a little bit about software development life cycles and things like that as part of this presentation as well. But when we look at the landscape from a PNAP lens, what we see in our customer base and the people that we talk to in our partner networks are that organizations are moving to API everything, right? API as a product in some cases for some organizations. And so, that not only applies to building APIs to do data and exchange data, but also building or leveraging APIs to accomplish tasks, right? People that are in DevOps, SRE roles, even some traditional IT roles are being asked to automate more, right? And IDC and Nginx basically put out a survey, and they're saying 60% of the 500 organizations they talk to believe that they are API focused, not just looking at it, not just, oh, maybe we're gonna see, how much we can automate, how many things we can get an API. I know internally at PNAP, when we're looking at solutions and things like that, we start there, right? We start with API. What does that provide me as the consumer, as the end user? And ultimately, in the modern cloud world, if you're not offering an API first mentality for your service, you're probably doing something wrong. And so when we kind of peel back that onion, we are seeing, so many folks move towards next generation application development processes. Everyone's heard the terms, right? Microservices, container services, building cloud native applications. And what ultimately, I think it said right there, 90% of new apps will kind of feature this microservices architecture by 2022. But the demands on the infrastructure folks are to participate in this process, right? You have to participate in this software development architecture, right? And that means delivering infrastructure through code via API, varying kind of, funnels there, but automated infrastructure is key. And so as we kind of move into, the mid 2020s, I think that the future, and Jim's going to share a lot about this as we kind of go in, where the market's going. I think that the future of infrastructure is somewhat wholly automated. Does that mean we can do everything automated? No, because there's going to have needs to customize something or make some change or test something that you don't have any scale with. There are some limitations there, but that's what people are looking for. And so what do you get through automating your IT infrastructure? We think that these are the most important kind of categories of benefit. And they're somewhat self-explanatory. I won't go through each one individually, but I believe that everyone can look at the tiles here and say, yes, it helps me with my productivity and time to market. It helps me get that speed. We know that automation improves consistency. I would say that that's the one thing that's indisputable. And ultimately, if the application is built in the right way, it can produce a level of cost efficiency, right? Because you're able to match the infrastructure to the demand of the application. And so, yeah, I think that that's all great things. I think that everyone that isn't looking at how they can automate their infrastructure services on this call definitely needs to start. So I'm going to kick this off with a poll question. I want to know from everyone on this call where they think that they are. So I know it's Thursday, we're getting close to Christmas, but I would appreciate it if everyone to just click the button as soon as you see it. Hopefully it's launching here. I know the polls are launching when my GoToWebinar control panel freezes up. So hopefully everybody's getting in there. Okay. All right. Let's try to get it up to 50%. If I get 50% voted, that would be fantastic. Everybody will just click the button and be honest with themselves on where they think they are in their journey. I think it will be super productive for the conversation. All right, we kind of crept up near that 50%. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Essentially where we landed, 31% are saying kind of very little, 53% are saying partially automated, 13% saying mostly automated, and 3% saying completely automated. So I think that's probably where the market is, right? If I look at our customer base, the people that we talk to, everyone is at least starting on the path. So that's almost 100% has, a little bit. And then you've got a huge core group of folks that are kind of, middle of the road. Not everything's automated. They don't even have goals to automate everything, but they did enough to kind of realize the benefit that they were looking for. All right. So now we get to jump in, right? And I am going to start with my friend Jim over at Intel. He's gonna tell us what he thinks about bare metal cloud and bare metal in a public cloud world. And then maybe we'll hear some comments from another panelist on specific things from phoenixNAP. So take it away, Jim.
Sure. Hi. In my career, I started out way back in the day when we used to call it grid computing. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And in those days, we managed servers by hand almost, or by scripting in Glue and so forth and so on. And as we've moved forward into cloud, and my last 10 years have been spent in cloud, and moved forward with public and private cloud, we've seen the flexibility and advantages that virtualization, through 2000 to 2005 or so, and then containerization more recently have brought, and now this proliferation of microservice-based application architecture. What you give up when you go into that level of flexibility, because we all know the advantages, or at least most of us on this call are probably aware of those advantages in the developing cloud universe of that flexibility. But what you give up is that touch at the level of being able to see the hardware that's available underneath and actually utilize it to its maximum efficiency and to its maximum capability. Now, this isn't always an issue for developers. This isn't something that a lot of software developers like to think about. But if you can manage it, if you can think of your application stack the way that we do, I call them hardware up stacks where I work. If you can think of your application stack as encompassing the entirety of everything that is happening, all the way down to the hardware and the features and the instructions and the various pieces of the system that are there, you can you can definitely leverage that to increase the capability of your application and improve its reliability, improve its performance, et cetera. By providing bare metal resources, and whenever I'm using bare metal cloud, I'm using it in the generic sense. By providing bare metal resources through an API-driven interface, you can get the flexibility level of the containers and virtualization, but also the advantages of being able to connect directly with the hardware underneath, not to mention the dedication of having a machine with its resources available to you. So we've seen this in CSPs. There's various offerings for there'll be some CSPs that offer dedicated instances, but they may or may not offer levels of actual hardware visibility because they need to manage it as well. So even folks at phoenixNAP need to manage that hardware as well, right? So they're going to not give you everything that you can possibly get to. They're not going to give you, necessarily the capability to see everything at the management layer. But the deeper that you can go, the more that you're going to be able to get out of it. And later on the call, I might talk about some of the things that Intel's doing in that regard. And with that, I'll ask the rest of the panel for their thoughts.
Yeah, no, Jim, this is Ian McClarty, president of phoenixNAP. You bring up a lot of good points, and 100% agree with all of them. One of the things that we believe that bare metal itself as a construct aligns itself very well with public cloud is really as a supplemental IT factor, right? It's not there to really displace public cloud. It's there to supplement it and to work with it. Clients that have gone through that cloud native investment already and are taking advantage of actually deploying Kubernetes clusters and making themselves very portable, not being vendor locked. They love being able to use multiple hybrid clouds. I mean, they like not being stuck in one type of environment. They like the flexibility, and what God gives them is a lot of cost control. So they're able to basically optimize their workload, optimize what they're doing from a infrastructure perspective. They're able to focus on different factors. Maybe for these type of workloads, performance is key. For these other type of workloads, performance might not be an issue. You may not have a noisy neighbor issue on a certain type of workload. On others that are more compliance focused or that are more security driven, you may need to completely isolate. I mean, if you're, for example, if you're a financial services company, you need to be very careful where you're putting credit card information, and so and you have a lot of regulatory requirements around that as well, and some real threats there that are from attack vector perspective. So it really helps to basically redefine and to also supplement. And so we believe that public cloud is here to stay. I mean, it's not going anywhere. We also believe that clients are looking at ways to optimize their IT and also, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's trying to get to one factor, which is how do I increase the speed of business outcomes? That's really what we're talking about. Everything that we're doing right now is to increase business outcomes and the speed of delivery to the business. And so technologies that help get us there are taking front and center. And the reason why microservices and virtualization and containerization are very popular is because they help us. They help us to deploy quickly. They help us to also attract the right kind of talent into the company. They help us to deploy fast and also to align ourselves better to the business. So really, at the end of the day, it's helping us drive business outcomes faster. And companies that are taking a step back and looking at their workloads and saying, where can I optimize my workload and where can I get that business outcome out fast, are really the ones that are going to be successful in the future. So I think I see that as an alignment and a supplemental IT factor.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I think that what we see is that customers are looking for access to infrastructure on demand. But they're not looking to do that just so that they can build stuff, right? They're looking to accomplish a problem, right? Some type of business challenge has presented themselves, and the public cloud's great. The public cloud has a place, and there is a lot of great services in the hyperscalers. I guess when I say public cloud, I'm talking about the hyperscalers. They offer a lot of services that people can take advantage of, but as everybody on this call probably knows, there are places that there are struggles from a scale perspective, and they present unique business challenges. So Ian, maybe you can walk us through a little bit of the underlying technologies in phoenixNAP bare metal cloud offering and kind of where we settled in and what we think we're bringing that differentiates to the market.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I mean, when we designed our bare metal cloud offering, we looked at ways where we can access some quick launchpad technologies. And so I'm going to share some of the launchpad technologies that we and we've been very vocal about this as well. So one of the things that we are working very diligently to do is to make sure that we have a level of transparency. Again, because we're embracing a cloud native environment, and part of the cloud native environment is to show transparency and to also show what you're doing and to share it with the community. And so for us to be good stewards in the community, we need to have a level of transparency. We're accomplishing that a couple different ways. So first, if I look at the exposure points, right? So where you interface with bare metal cloud today, we are exposing basically all the entire technology stack that we're working on that from a software development perspective. We're putting on GitHub. So we're being very transparent there on what level of orchestration, what level of CD, continuous delivery deployments that we're doing there. We're giving away the code. We're opening it up so you can see exactly what is being called. So from an exposure perspective, we're being very transparent. As we get deeper into the technology stack, we start looking at other things that we felt were going to be launchpad technologies. For example, Apogee. We use Google's Apogee platform. We believe that it was not just the fastest route to market, but also the most robust, and it would be a great alignment for us from a scale-out perspective. So we aligned ourselves well to the Apogee platform. Again, making it very fast for our developers to develop code internally and expose it out. Also to standardize the way we are doing API delivery, so that it isn't a different API gateway you're dealing with as we evolve and we develop more and more product around bare metal cloud itself. We felt that would be a very strong way and a very standardized way for us to deliver an interface back to infrastructure as code. So it also has made it very easy for us to continue to add modules and open source those modules as we go out into the market and keep on orchestrating and keep on aligning ourselves to new and upcoming technologies that we feel are going to be very quick to even deploy code even faster on the infrastructure side. As we get deeper into our infrastructure, we also leverage other launchpad technologies, like for example, Canonical's Metals as Service technology. We felt that was a very strong and a very good foundational piece for us, but we've extended functionality out. We've given a lot of good feedback to them, and also made it, we believe, a stronger product by some of our service provider needs, which are very different than enterprise needs. Enterprise needs we're servicing, but we're servicing multiple enterprise needs. So we're not developing for one enterprise, we're developing for many enterprises across many verticals. And so the needs that we need to develop are cross-functional, and they're cross-vertical as well. So all this feedback back to the vendor community and back to the product enhancement, I think we're making it better. And the enterprises are going to reap benefits from some of our service provider perspectives that we're giving back from a software perspective back to Canonical. And then we've also taken a lot of our knowledge, I would say, that over the last 10 plus years of high web scale out infrastructure services, and we apply those to all the lessons learned that we've had over the years to bare metal cloud. And so that's also, I wouldn't say that's an underlying technology, but there is a lot of logistics. There's a certain type of mindset and philosophy you have to have from a web scale up perspective. Jim kind of hit upon that, right? Is that whole management of very complex and again high volume of infrastructure services that you need to provide. We do a very good job managing that not from a people perspective, but more from an automation perspective and from a scale up perspective. So that's something else that we've put a lot of effort and a lot of love into. The way you interface with our technology, again, is API first, CLI second, and UI last. And on the UI piece, I mean, we're using Angular technologies. We're using the latest and greatest tech to make it easy from a UI perspective. But we don't believe that our target audience and clients are going to interface that way. It's really going to be via API. And really, if we're being honest, it's going to be through a module, through an actual orchestration engine that's already in place, because it makes it very easy for them to absorb the services, and it makes it a very like-to-like public cloud experience. They don't have to refactor much. It's just changing an endpoint inside their code versus having to refactor the entire code stack. So that's from a high level what we're doing right now from a technology perspective.
Thank you, Ian. I mean, you mentioned some really great partners, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of these technologies in a little bit more detail as we proceed. But I wanted to reiterate that we built this technology, this service for the DevOps IT automation crowd, right? The people that are looking to automate things and as we continue to build the product, driven by customers, everything shows up in the API first. So ultimately, if you want the features quickly, you have to be interfacing with the CLI, the API, or some type of infrastructure as code tool that accesses the API, because it might be a little bit before it shows up in the UI. So I think everything you covered is great. And so, as we kind of move forward, I wanted to get a little bit of market understanding from Intel on why they think that the Xeon Scalable processors can be the go-to solution for cloud services, but also bare metal cloud services. And Jim, maybe you can walk me through a little bit of Intel's view on this.
Sure. I mentioned earlier the idea of a hardware up stack, and that we view workloads as an entire stack, encompassing everything, every layer in between, whether it's the libraries that you use out of the OS or an orchestration platform that has to deploy and manage the resources underlying that application, or if there's virtualization or containerization, making sure that everything is visible and available from the hardware level up through the application stack. That's kind of what my group is really involved in doing. When it comes to what you guys are doing and what Ian was just talking about, the workload is the management of the servers, right? I mean, that's what you guys are doing, is providing the access, the rapid tooling for people to deploy their infrastructure quickly, maybe to prototype code and then shut it down quickly, maybe to run a long-running service and make sure that it's up and reliable, et cetera. That's your workload. And so when we're talking about your workloads, we provide a lot of manageability, tooling, and telemetry to make it possible for you to do all of that as efficiently as possible. And for cloud customers generally, whether they're running on public cloud with Kubernetes and all of the container facilities, or whether they're just running on bare metal or what have you, no matter where they're at, we're very focused on their workloads and making sure that Intel's Xeon capabilities are exposed and available and can be leveraged for efficiency. Things like cryptography on board, machine learning and deep learning, AVX instructions, networking and storage options, et cetera. All of these things are things that we're optimizing workloads every day to make possible for cloud customers to be able to make the best use possible of Xeon. And then I want to tie both of these things together and say that when you're using a bare metal function, when you're actually getting that access to the hardware and you've got it through an API interface like this, you're actually getting the same benefits from it as a developer that the infrastructure provider, in this case, or like a phoenixNAP, gets when they're using that hardware themselves and deploying it and making it available for you to deploy. So, but to tie it all together, you can start thinking of your applications as hardware up stacks as well, and take advantage of some of that goodness around the acceleration of various instructions, getting telemetry that helps you to tune and optimize your application for the best fit, and taking advantage of the latest and greatest that's being offered by the providers without actually having to go out and buy those servers yourself and have them sit idle in a data center somewhere.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, Jim, I think that so excited, to have these capabilities. We've been working really closely with Intel for a long time now, a really long time now. And actually last year on the Xeon Scalable, for the second generation Xeon Scalable processor, we launched kind of a new key critical functionality in all of cloud, right? And all of cloud infrastructure. And Martin, maybe you can talk a little bit about Flex Server and kind of what that meant to the market and how customers are leveraging Xeon Scalable second generation and beyond to enable that technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Will. And to Jim's point, guys, so this is Martin. I'm the director of product at phoenixNAP. So guys, Intel Xeon Scalable, we've been obviously running with Intel for many, many years and trying to stay on top of the newest and sharpest technologies. And Intel's been probably the best partner we can imagine in supporting us here. With looking at that, right, what Jim said and what William and Ian were actually talking about, the ability to support workload-specific infrastructure. So the concept here is really you have your specific customer workloads, you want to achieve certain goals, right, from business / IT perspective, usually fairly difficult, right? Now, the concept of the Flex servers that we're introducing here, and I do really encourage you to take a look at our website for more detail on that one, or reach out to us directly, right? So we can discuss. But the concept here really is that your workloads could be fluctuating. Your workloads could be very specific to certain timelines, to specific projects, and so on and so forth. And the compute requirements might fluctuate fairly quickly, right? Depending on those exact timelines, on those projects, on look at COVID, right? On certain workloads that might have been a lot less 6 months ago, and so on and so forth. So Flex servers, we've worked really hard with Intel over the last couple of years to introduce some of these solutions. And if some of you guys might be familiar with the speed select concept, this is sort of like that. If you're not familiar with it, let me just run you really quickly through it. The concept here is really to have the ability, right, when you deploy bare metal infrastructure, to have the ability with a single reboot to basically jump through different steps for the compute, right? All it takes is a reboot. You have the ability to basically jump from 4210R to all the way through 6258R. And again, these are some very technical terms. Not sure if everybody is familiar with it, but ultimately the bottom line being is that from something that is very conservative, right, not a very big workload, to extreme compute, really, basically with a flip of a switch, right? Sure, there is still the reboot required, but ultimately there is a lot of flexibility, no migration of data. You don't have to do any resets. You don't have to change any of your configurations. No messing with your network, right? All of that stuff is basically just a reboot. But ultimately, yeah.
Martin, I think that, you know, with the vertically scaling CPU capabilities, right, it really is allowing customers to match their IT demand to their cost, right? And
exactly.
One of the things that we're focused on driving even further, as we announced Bare Metal Cloud, you know, about a month and a half ago, we are now offering this flexible, vertically scaling CPU technology combined with hourly consumption models. So you get the metal, you get it by the hour if you want to, if you need that flexibility, and you can pick and choose instances that meet certain requirements. So when you get into the platform, you see this giant list of instances. Ultimately, what that means to you is a lot of different flexibility, a lot of different compute profiles. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, we're going to be bringing some more capabilities into the platform over time to actually let you, select the processor you want and step it down, step it up with a reboot kind of on demand and change your bill on the fly. That will come, but just getting access to that many granular differences in CPU core count or clock speed core count combinations provides a lot of agile kind of business capability. So, you know, as we, move forward, I wanted to kind of get another poll out there to see where everyone, is how people are tackling this today. So what does this look like for you? Are your workloads ending up purely in the public cloud? Are you doing multi-private, which I assume probably the majority of you are in some type of multi-cloud scenario? I'm talking about the infrastructure components, in this case, not SaaS, but hopefully the poll will launch here. And if you could just kind of let us know, what does that look like for you? What does workload placement look like? And then that'll help us kind of guide our conversation to see where people are at. All right. I feel like we've got a, the one thing about building new products and services that's so exciting for me is, when you create new capabilities that people haven't even thought about consuming, right? And so as you look at the poll right here, we got 8% at public cloud, 52% at private hybrid multi-cloud, which I expected to be the biggest, 38% still on-prem, right? Or in a data center. I assume most on-premises people are actually meaning in a data center. And then only 3% in the bare metal cloud area. And that 3% for us represents an opportunity, but I think that 3% for most of the people on the call is education based. It's something new. It's something they didn't know they could even do, right? And I feel for a lot of you that I know, having been in the IT operations arena, that when you finally get that next generation technology presented to you, it may not always be clear exactly how it can help. And so hopefully, as we kind of get through this, some of those business challenges will be better described. And maybe we can, put a little thought in your head. Oh man, maybe I can use AWS and phoenixNAP for this other thing, right? That is costing me a lot of money in AWS or costing me a lot of money in Google Compute. And maybe find a way to bring that kind of bare metal cloud in with your hyperscaler deployment or on-prem, right? And there's some interesting use cases. I don't know how many we'll talk about today. We're combining this on-demand infrastructure technology and server technology with a data center operations can actually be pretty potent to create that true hybrid cloud experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut down that poll. Move on to our next question. So when you're looking at the market, Ciao, when you look at this from a software developer's perspective, and I know that most of your experience is in enterprise architecture and software development, how does bare metal access, how does bare metal cloud help a software developer if it can be delivered in a consumption-based model?
Sure, thanks, Will. Yeah, I mean, to look at it from, let's say, a VP of engineering or VP of software development perspective, right? I'll be leading a team of engineers from different disciplines. You have software guys, you have system security, QA engineers, but the end goal is, right, to develop software product, technology product in an agile manner. And most likely, I'll adopt some variation of a DevOps and agile development framework, right? Just internally within phoenixNAP, we recently adopted the Scale Agile framework. And one of the major pain points from the engineering or software development perspective when it comes to infrastructure is, as Jim was saying, you have to wait for the infrastructure to be provisioned, but when the code is ready to be tested or to be deployed. And this can be pretty bad, right? It can slow down the development life cycle and the overall productivity and morale of the team. So what do we do, right? How do we alleviate such pain point? I think there are two things we look for, right? The first one, it will be some kind of self-service capabilities that allow the engineers to provision and deprovision infrastructure as needed. And I'll add that, right, with COVID-19, with the trends of more remote working, such self-service capabilities will need to be accessible anywhere, not just from the office. And that's the second point that is important will be the infrastructures need to be automation friendly and they need to be programmable so that they can be integrated into our DevOps tool chains, into our CI/CD pipeline, like what we're using, like we use Jenkins and GitLab pipeline. Yeah, that need to be integrated together. And Jim mentioned earlier, a lot of how people solve problem today is using, public cloud virtual machine or containerized infrastructure. However, there are applications, perhaps for performance or security reason, that need to run on bare metal servers directly. Like even within phoenixNAP, we are still running our data warehouse on bare metal servers for performance reason. So with BMC, by leveraging the ability to provision servers, whether it's through an API or CLI or the UI portal, and the integration with infrastructure automation tools, and both of these self-service and infrastructure automation capability is realized, right? So the engineer will have similar levels of control as it is for a virtual machine or for containers. And even if I step back, right, looking at a more typical use case where the application run on VM or containers, having direct API access to provision bare metal server can still make the jobs, let's say, of a SRE a lot easier when it comes to time when they have to scale up or scale down the underlying infrastructure. For example, when they have to provision an additional ESX host or a Kubernetes worker node. So in summary, from my perspective, right, whether your application that you build, right, run on VM containers on bare metal servers directly, BMC should be able to help alleviate some of the pain point for having to wait for the infrastructure to be provisioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one critical thing to point out here for me is, although we are offering direct access to bare metal infrastructure on demand, no one's saying that you have to keep it bare metal, right? Like if you want to do some type of virtualization, containerization on top of bare metal, on top of virtualization, all those options are available to you. Ultimately, what we're giving you is freedom. We're giving you freedom to do what you want to do, right? Without platform as a service lock-in, right? This is raw infrastructure as a service. You get that cloud OpEx, you get that consumption model, but you're also it doesn't come with the lock-in and the heavy chains that the hyperscaler environments can bring if you aren't careful, right? So again, not a knock on hyperscalers. They have things that they do that we'll never do, right? But ultimately, we think that there's a marriage there. We think that there is a right place for the right workload. And if the only way that works in a modern software development world is with automation, automation at the core. So let's kind of jump along. Question 5, I want to understand from Jim how Intel is really pushing some of these concepts towards agile cloud and development, and what does that look like from an Intel perspective?
Sure. My team particularly, as I said earlier, we're very workload focused. I mean, that is the goal of anyone that's running on any cloud, anywhere, or in their own data centers, whatever. You're trying to get some kind of business goal accomplished by running some kind of workload. And to that extent, what we're trying to do is to improve the automation of our workload testing and the speed with which we can make changes to configuration details to make sure that code is actually taking advantage of what we feel it can best take advantage of, and then create a feedback loop that can actually make it so that we can improve our own products over time based on the feedback from that automation. You were pounding the point on how automation speeds up everything. It doesn't just speed up your own workloads, it also speeds up the speed with which we can do research and get features into our products sooner. So we're looking to speed that cycle up to get ahead of where your needs are going to be later by automating today. One of the things that I would use it as an example here is I'm going to go back to telemetry as something that you can get if you're actually in contact with the base hardware. You can get core counters and uncore counters out of the Intel hardware, right? And a lot of people use these and have used them traditionally in IT environments on kind of a I would say a generic level, to kind of examine performance characteristics on a very general basis. Utilization of the CPU, context switches, how you're utilizing memory, pages in, pages out, how those pages are going over the memory bus, whether or not you're getting the optimum performance out of the system. And this may be a little bit slicing the onion thinner than a lot of software developers generally like to think about. But by doing that, you actually get a lot of capability. And one of the things that we've been providing is this top-down microarchitecture telemetry that actually gives you something even better that kind of aggregates some of the most commonly used counters into things that can identify bottlenecks, thread to resource contention sorts of scenarios, and identify where you can optimize for speed, and make sure, like within the framework that you guys were talking about, which SKU you need, which level of processor functionality you need, making sure that you're getting the most efficient use out of that and not paying for more than you actually use. So that's one area where we're doing that, just as an example. There's others as well, like for improving AI ops with AVX instructions, et cetera. But in general, we're wanting to automate the process of defining and moving workloads through our own categorization and testing and validation to make sure that we're improving our products to that standard over time.
Yeah, Jim, I mean, one of the things that I think is most interesting for me in this area is, Intel continues to put many features. Everyone's focused on like core counts and clock speeds, but it's truly the feature sets that are available in these chips that make them so powerful. They're very agile silicon, right? And they can do a lot of things, right? You can do things on second generation Xeon Scalable that you wouldn't have dreamed from a workload perspective trying to do, even on like Broadwell, right? In some cases, not even on Skylake, right? The first generation Xeon Scalable. It's amazing kind of how fast Intel's moving in this area. So we're really excited to be working together on that. All right.
Right, and
So,
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to point out that some of the flexible technology that you were talking about is part of that basis as well. Although I don't want to go too deep into that. You guys already covered it well.
I agree.
But I just
I think it's important. All right. So where are you on this journey, right? So you're trying to be more agile. You're trying to be more possibly DevOpsian, right? Whatever word you want to use. Where do you think you are from a business, or where do if you're not an end user on the call, if you're a partner, where do you think your customers are in this journey, right? And wow, I'm shocked actually by the early answers. So let's get some more answers in there. I want to see this at like 30, 40%, and then I'll share this quickly with everybody. Pound that quick poll button, and everybody don't forget to hit submit. All right. So I mean, just high level conjecture, right? It's more evenly distributed than I really could have imagined, right? It looks like it's just all over the map in terms of where people are in this journey. It's a little bit of a testament to how much of a journey it actually is, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and shut that down. We had 24% did not start, 24% discovering, 33% in the process of adapting agile methodologies, and 18% say that they're old hat veterans. And we are going to jump over to our next question. Martin, when you look at infrastructure code, bare metal cloud, driving infrastructure code, driving both bare metal cloud offerings and public cloud, where are they similar and kind of how do they differ? So what are your thoughts there?
So looking at the infrastructure as code stuff, right? If we go back at everything that you guys been saying today, really where we go back to is trying to not trying to actually step back from the manual management of any kind of infrastructure and trying to really go into provisioning through code, right? Trying to leverage and expand more into software-defined data center concepts through machine readable definitions, right? Trying to through declaration files, trying to get into scripts, and basically step away completely from anyone doing any kind of manual configuration work, right? Automation slash getting away from a IT guy, so to speak, quote unquote, trying to configure a server, right? So this has been really the basically cornerstone of the entire DevOps, right? Concept, right? Getting away from somebody doing something manually versus, hey, if I need to set up these 50, 100, 700, whether they're bare metal machines or VMs, this needs to happen through automation. And we have a ton of different tools for that today, right? From Terraform, Pulumi, Ansible, the SaltStack, Chef, and Puppet. And guys, we definitely recognize that, right? This is something that we're working very hard on with the community and integrating with these tools. So today you can use Terraform, Pulumi, and Ansible to actually run our infrastructure. SaltStack, Chef, and Puppet are things that are coming in the next few weeks. At the same time, right, what the guys were mentioning, trying to make sure that we support the container concept, right? We're working with Rancher on that one as well. So between containers, VMware as well, right? So containers, virtual machines, and what have you, right? Anything that really is supporting today modern developer, modern enterprise, right? The cloud native concept, we're definitely behind that, and we're making sure to support all of these tools that are available on the market today.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that hitting home on that, you mentioned Terraform, Ansible, Pulumi today, Chef, SaltStack, Puppet coming in the future. You know, we're going to work the way that you want to work, the way that your CI/CD pipelines are built. We're going to build infrastructure solutions to support those, right? And I think that that's the key focus. Thank you so much, Martin, for sharing those ideas with us. So I want to actually ask, on that line of thinking, you know, what infrastructure as code tools are people using today, right? What does this look like for you, right? How many people are adopting Terraform, Ansible? You know, I know that some of this is kind of like next day automation, some of this is infrastructure provisioning, but, you know, pick kind of the primary tool that you're leveraging in your enterprise today, and we'll kind of see what that looks like. All right, instantaneously somewhat shocking results. You know, I kind of expected that we'd see a lot of Terraform on here. It looks like a lot of folks are leveraging, you know, more on the you know, automation or runbook side of things with Ansible and Puppet versus defined infrastructure. I do believe that will change over time, and that technologies like Terraform will be more for infrastructure definition and kind of state, and the automation stuff will take over from there. But I'm going to go ahead and close that down. We had 14% Terraform, 14% Ansible, 17% Chef Puppet, 23% other, and 33% none. I'm not shocked by the 33% of none, because, you know, we saw early in the kind of the polls that not everyone's really adopting this infrastructure code mindset yet. So we will kind of go and jumping on our last question. So if you got questions you want to ask, please put them in the chat. We'll answer them. We'll stay as long as we need to answer them. Everybody can kind of go at the end. But what does this look like in the future, Jim? You know, how is bare metal and bare metal cloud automation going to be evolving over the next 3 years?
Sure. You know, what you were just mentioning about, you know, having machine readable definitions for the acquisition and provisioning of hardware is something that can only improve over time. I mean, it's if you've worked with this stuff, and I've worked with it for probably 20 years. You know, I was using stuff like, if anybody remembers, back in the day there was CF Engine, you know, was before Chef and Puppet and all of that. But we used to have to do all of that hardware definition stuff by hand, right? You know, we built our own systems, and a lot of people do build their own systems for bare metal provisioning, and more than provisioning, like providing access, et cetera. But we're seeing more and more convergence like what you guys are providing here. For sure, and we're definitely involved with that, with the technologies that we've kind of already discussed to some degree. Where I think we're going to see things going is more automation, but not just more automation, but more, I guess, what I would call self-intelligence around that automation. And let me give you an example there. We've got folks, data scientists that I work with, that are doing things like using machine learning algorithms in order to tune software performance, right? It's early days kind of stuff, but it's really cool, right? You know, you can, if you've ever spent a lot of time trying to optimize an application for maximum performance, you know, looking deep into the code, trying to find where you've got loops that are inefficient, et cetera. Imagine turning the power of machine learning on that and making it so that you can twiddle that thing in the space of hours that might take a human a couple of weeks or longer to research. That's definitely something that we're starting to see more of. And I think we'll see more of that kind of thing just generally in data center and IT management than you might even dream possible right now. Another thing that's kind of an influence that's coming in, and I could talk about this stuff all day long, so I'm going to try to keep it short, is multiple memory multiple levels of memory latency from all of the outboard accelerators that we're seeing, GPUs, of course, but also FPGAs, SmartNICs, and then our own, as you know, like persistent memory. Is another key area that we're looking into, and we're seeing that there's a convergence on being able to access multiple levels of memory and have that application interfacing happen in an efficient way, so that you can make use of those outboard devices at the fastest, most efficient and performant way possible. And I think I'm going to wrap it right there, because there's we're getting close to the end of the call. But those are two of the major things that I see coming.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks so much. And Ian, what do you think from a pNAP perspective? What's kind of coming next? Well, how's it going to evolve for us?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I mean, if you look at the next 3 years, for sure, in the near future, we're looking at a lot of advanced network functionality, a lot of interconnection, especially between other clouds and other cloud types that are coming out and will be out. Interoperability is going to be big for us. But as I look in the future, portability and telemetry, I think, are going to be the two key pieces that we're going to focus, and bare metal cloud in general is going to focus a lot on. From a telemetry perspective, just providing the level of transparency that Jim kind of touched upon, and we believe that the SRE, that the up and coming new job roles that aren't even defined yet, they're going to need a lot more insight for troubleshooting purposes, especially, right? As more and more code is being developed faster, troubleshooting and telemetry are going to be extremely important in that equation, and so they go hand in hand. And so telemetry is going to be a big push, and it's going to come from a client request, but also just from exposure, right? It marries very well to where Intel is heading, but it's heading that way because of a needs perspective, right? The general theme is I need to know what's going on from in my code. The first thing that always gets hit upon is the network is having an issue. The second thing is it has to be a server problem, right? The last thing is always code for some reason, but and that's not going to change anytime soon. So it is really going to be telemetry, and portability is really going to be around being able to be closer to the workload, to the information, to the commercial IoT, to the device that is providing data. There's going to be a growing need out of necessity to really make that data smarter. And so we're seeing, we believe that those are going to be the two key points in the next 3 years that are going to be really a big driver for us for product development.
Absolutely agree. I know everybody has a super packed schedule. I want to thank everybody for staying so long with us. We had a great turnout today. I did want to mention we do have the name of the winner of the Amazon gift card. It is Joe Cooper. So Joe, we will reach out and get that to you. I'm going to leave the screen up here. Everyone can kind of take a look at what we are offering in our bare metal cloud offering today. I thank everyone so much for their time. I know it's hard. There's so many webinars to attend. Come chit chat with us. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you got feedback on the presentation today, get back in touch with us. Tell us what you wish you had saw so we can make it better next time. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. Stay safe and happy holidays.